Page 50, exercise 1.12. Now we start playing the hands together, both hands at the same time. When I was little and started learning to do this, I was all thumbs and nothing worked. You see, the hands are a mirror image of each other, and you can work them as a mirror image of each other, and fine, you don't have to think about it. You can just take one hand and the other hand can automatically follow it. But in piano playing, we can't do that. You have to be independent, so you have to work them at the same time, but you're working different fingers at the same time. And that gets really tricky. And when I was little starting this, I had a time with that. It didn't want to work. But over time, it gradually came. Let's look at this exercise 112, for instance. And just forget the rhythm for a minute. Let's just focus on the notes. Hopefully you know what these notes are. If you don't, learn them. It looks like they're introducing a few new notes there, up in the treble stuff up higher, but you need to know them. And I'll just tell you, like I've already told you in other videos how to figure it out, so now I'll just tell you. In the right hand, that first note is an E. So if I put my middle finger on E, this is the E way up above middle C. Middle C is clear down here. I'm up here. I'll put the rest of the fingers here. This is a C position up here. The left hand, notice it's a treble clef in the bottom staff. So the left hand, that is an E also. So I'm here. So I'm in C position, but both hands are up here. And I'll tell you, for the most part, the hands are playing the same notes. The E's together or whatever. Now, not too bad to start with because both middle fingers are playing, and that's mirroring each other. You can do that. But then the next note, you got to go up. So the right hand you're playing ring finger, fourth finger, but the left hand you're playing second finger. And then you're playing little finger and thumb. So you're playing different fingers. Something you can do to help you through this is simply in your 5-finger position, just go up and down a few times and get a feel for these fingers playing together. It's here. Just keep going up and down slowly until you get a feel of that. It's important. And in time it'll come. You won't even think about it after a while. In this piece, the hands will move around a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. For instance, in the right hand, you're starting out up here. Then over in the third measure, you're here. And then in the last measure, the first line, look out. Because you just ended the previous note with a G on 5th finger. Now they want 3rd finger on that F. So you gotta scrunch up a little bit and play the F. That way you got a little finger available for the A. Then when you're done with that half note and you're going to go to the next line, look what they've done. The 3rd finger's back on the E. So you just reach down and you're there. And then come down. And you'll be fine. In the left hand, it's sort of that way. You're starting out down here. But then when you get to the last 2 measures of the first line, you're here. In with the thumb, and for the last measure they want 3rd finger, so you just scrunch up a little bit here, and then when you go to the next line, 3rd finger on the E, so you're just going to reach down with the 3rd finger and you're there, and that should be fine. When you get to the last 2 measures of the second line, the hands are not playing the same notes anymore. You're here. This is easier because now you're mirroring each other. See, it looks worse. You think, oh, this is hard. No, you're mirroring each other. So you focus on the right hand, just let the left hand do its thing if you want. Till the half note end, and then you have a chord in the left hand. Like so. Let's talk rhythm. This is in 2/2 time. That's 2 counts to a measure, 2 beats, but a half note is supposed to get a count. I don't know why they're doing it that way. This would be so much easier if they would have simply done a 4/4 time. In fact, it'll give me a chance to talk about it. Something you can do when you're working with time signatures. This piece is in 2/2 time. And 2/2 time, until you're used to it, can be a real hassle because a half note gets a count. You're looking at it with eighth notes. Well, that means you got to do a 1-enda, 1-enda, 2-enda, 1-enda, 2-enda. So just taking the right hand, it's 1-enda, 2-enda, because the quarter note gets half a count. 1 and 2 and 1-enda, 2-enda, 1-enda, 2. It's a hassle. So when you're first starting it, you can adjust. I do it all the time. Rather than 2/2, take it in 4/4. So a quarter note's going to get a count, and an eighth note's just getting half a count, and that's as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if that'll help make it easier for you, learn it that way, and then once you have it learned, put it back in 2/2 time. And that's what we have to do here. So you work out the counting, you work out the rhythm, hopefully you can do all that. And when you have all that done and you're ready to go, then come back and play it with me and we'll check the notes and the rhythms. So I'm going to give us 4 counts to start with. That's 2 measures worth of counting because this is in 2/2 time, and we'll try it out. It might be a little fast for you, but this book is going to push you, so I'm going to push you. So try and do it this speed. You can do it slowly on your own and gradually build it up. Do it with me, one hand at a time for a while if you have to. It's okay. Now I put the metronome on 70, but it's beating quarter notes rather than half notes because again, when you get to the extremes of the slow and fast, the metronome can be hard to follow, so we adjust it. So you just have to remember that the metronome is beating quarter notes. So it's a 1 and 2 and 1 and, or for the eighth notes it's 1-enda, 2-enda, etc. So right hand, left hand, let's try this out. 1 and 2 and ready and go-enda. 1-enda, 2-enda, 1-enda, 2-enda. 2-enda.